And then I began solving the Figma localization. Or let's be honest, and we can stay for now on translation case, because on Figma, and I also just let me open Figma really quick. So now I have Figma open, and I don't know what's now opening. In my TranslateSheet library, you have maybe a design, and this is like an open file, right? You have text, but in different styles, maybe you have like an auto layout here active, and now you want to localize it. Traditionally, you would like work with tools to export the content and then import the content back then, and just like rebuilding the translation. And I try to solve it like this. Just select it, and maybe let's do it to German. Yes, you have all the possibilities from DeepL API already present here. You can select formal, informal based on the target language. For, I think, Greek, you don't have it. And also you see, for example, here, I don't have a certain font installed from that asset. Yeah. So it's not possible for this language, because in Greek, I have the font installed. Sorry, I misread it, but it's not suitable for the Greek language, this font family, because of certain characters. So also supporting.
That's probably the same, would be the same for, I don't know, Chinese, Japanese.
Probably, yeah, we can test it. Right. Even more inter. So for Google Sheets, it's a little bit more straightforward, but also there you have like the XML and HTML tag on and off. And for the design part, my assumption is if designers are using this plugin, they are probably not always aware of everything during the localization or translation process. So I always try to give as much helpful awareness about even before pressing the translation button, right? So let's keep maybe the German language. Where is it? It's here. Lots of languages nowadays on DeepL. Frame or duplicated. Let's go with duplicate. And it was already some time I used it. And now you see the following. I have like a very bad template, because if it's like a good structured template, the auto layout formats would respect that the content could be different sizes of length, right? So it's like, you see it here, it's not even like an auto format or anything. It's like really bad layouting. But here it's a good layout, because you can see here on the left side, it's like working very neatly with like auto layouts and stuff. But the fonts and the styling was like 100% preserved, right? So you have here the translation, same fonts, everything same. And this is also working, for example, and maybe just make a copy. I will delete it here again. Maybe just make this bold, okay? And I know it's looking very bad. It's so bad of my instructions. Translate your content, okay? Translate like Christopher. Let's keep it simple, okay? And now let's do it again in German. Duplicate. And now you see the design of like a certain wording or element is recognized by TranslateSheet. Then DeepL luckily has a great support of telling the semantic and also the complete sentence. I can really good work with this like difference, and then I deconstruct everything, and then I use the DeepL API for translating, but like the everything, and then I'm putting it back together in the exact same way how a designer who is familiar with the German language probably make the translation with the stylings and everything. And I don't need to have like different complicated text frames, whatever, blah, blah, blah. So this is my Figma plugin. It's also possible just to select the improved API if a designer is maybe not native in the language. And also it's working with like, you could select, let's check here the settings, 20,000 text layers at once. Even if you have like a huge Figma board, everything is stable. But yeah, I'm getting ahead of myself. Tim.
No, it's fine. It's really interesting. Can I do like multiple languages at once?
That was like very much requested. But from like a UI UX perspective, I'm currently not sure how to solve it, because I've firstly focused really to have a high support of every like parameter, right? And if I'm supporting more languages, I just need to think about how to still support different parameters. Maybe it's not relevant. Maybe I will just like ignore different parameters for different languages. But you know, if I'm selecting here, for example, Greek with the warning, how should the plugin work? So currently I have around 50 very, very active users. So everything at TranslateSheet is super new, only a couple weeks old, right? So what I'm doing is I'm doing a lot of feedback rounds with very active users and just ask for their feedback. Updates were shipped with different features, but I'm not 100% sure how to solve it, to be honest. But something will be shipped soon. So what is the reality of so many brands, including our brand, Nordleaf? So maybe just use the TranslateSheet MCP for this. Let's say localize this image for Sweden with a Swedish version with TranslateSheet, okay? And typically MCPs are not super good, or the use case is not intended to have like files sent between like a host or client and like a MCP provider or server such as TranslateSheet. So my way of solving this case was I pre-sign like a upload URL, then the image file from the chat is uploaded to TranslateSheet on my server. You see it here. And it's not so fast, but also it's not so slow, I hope. So it's uploaded to a Google Cloud storage where just like the user of the session has access to. And now it's orchestrating a complete localization pipeline. So I have here the target local SV. I think that's right. I have, what do I have? Replace the model with a Swedish person. Sounds nice. Context, German, Nordlicht, health, food, and being also sounds great. Now let's wait a little bit more. And I'm hoping the output is worth the wait. But this is also possible with MCPs, right? You could have a complete, I don't know, repo of chaos. And usually the repos I work in are very chaotic for like files and stuff there's in. And the magic, I think, is that the MCP server can work with like every format, even if it's like an image or a text, and I just can like drag and drop it into the agent window here, but also of course Claude or wherever, like Claude Cowork. Now let's watch the result, because it's also downloading the image again and then saving in the same directory where the source image was in. And I hope the result is good, but I think it's pretty spot on if we are comparing it with the source image. And this is what I mean with developing an MCP server, sometimes magical. Let me close it here. Oh no, not again, another agent. So right one was the original, right? Left one is the localized image. And with localized, I mean real localization. It's like a closed file. It's not an open file, but the font is spot on. The code, hey Reddit, is preserved, but it's like English translation. So perfect example. Did I close already the shit? Sorry, I closed.
That's the deal with. I mean, it probably we don't need to show that because it probably takes so long. But how does it deal with cases where the target language is way longer? Like if you localize from, I don't know, English to German, for example.
It's automatically decreasing the font size then. So the orchestration behind it, and I don't know why I can't reopen it here. Here. No, I already closed it. Ah, shit. But there was now an error, right? So the image is still on the server. So I can say you made like a mistake, or you made like here wrong parsing or whatsoever. So I can have a conversation about the result and then re-influence the image. Maybe I have it here an example also. So I of course did a test run before. So this was like the source image, right? I also tried it directly with, for example, and I don't mean it in like a negative way, because DeepL is focusing on like text here, but I tried with the image translation. And then I have it here, for example, with like the Spanish market with the same flow I just showed you. And when the target language is correct, then things like a discount code is like respected and not translated. And then if I'm having more adaptation needed, I can have a conversation with it, right? But the stack behind it is I orchestrate still, or I'm still using your API for like all the text translations. So you can localized images with like a glossary, with context, with instructions, everything you know. But then I must say the Gemini models are very good for like image adaptations and creations. So what I'm doing with TranslateSheet, I'm having a OCR and also like a precise mapping of everything, and then giving it back to Gemini with like the source image as reference. And then I'm receiving top-notch results back. So very pixel perfect. And I think also
sorry.
Yeah.
Just to understand that. So you're using OCR to extract all the text pieces from the image, and then you translate.
Yeah.
So in this case, would you translate or would you at least send the Nordleaf name to the API as well and just get the same back, or do you ignore that?
I have two things in place. Maybe we can also open the code just and I can show you because it's quite interesting. And for me, it's okay if I'm doing 5 minutes more than our initial time because I think it's cool. Let me just open it here. Need to open it here. So this is like my source code of the TranslateSheet.
Can you zoom that a little bit?
Yeah.
Thank you.
So maybe close it here. Yeah. Wow. Minimize. Okay, sorry. Okay. Yeah, it's a little bit awful, but that's how it is. So I categorize. I think it's very, very good visible here. And I'm using some Gemini Flash model. I'm using Gemini because I have like free tokens from Google, so it's very cheap for me. Also, it's a very good model. So I'm categorizing different text regions for different types. For example, promotional codes, brand names, URL, text, everything what I think shouldn't be translated in the first place, also without like using a glossary. Then I have can skip this, Gemini Flash. I'm also, OCR is, it's like not a typical OCR, right? But it's a very guided OCR or like AI OCR if you want so. And then I have like my systems prompts for like everything analyzed. And then based on this analyze, I then send DeepL the text extractions ready for, or what I think, or like the model thinks, translatable. So Nordleaf brand term wouldn't be sent to DeepL because it would be recognized as, okay, this is like a brand, it's part of the logo, it doesn't need translation. But even if it's like not part of the automatic recognition, then if the user is using a glossary, at least they have done the full control with the text translation, and all with the localization for like I have different adaptation prompts to really preserve things that doesn't need to be changed, because I want to have as little hallucination and as much control and to be very near as the source image as possible, while having the exact pixel amounts change what's necessary to have like a natural.
Hey there! If you've built something with the DeepL API, we should talk. We are giving the community a stage to showcase what they've built, SDKs, integrations, full apps, whatever it is, as long as it's using the DeepL API, we want to hear about it. See it, we want to talk about it. If that's you, please come show us in DeepL Bridges, go to the MadeWithDeepL section and post about what you've built. Until then, please subscribe and like.